Hey y'all, I wanted to make another video. I'm back in the car because the weather's a little wonky here. It's kind of windy, to be honest, and I don't I don't feel like being outside right now. Even though nature's where I'd rather be, it's just cold. I don't like the cold. But I do want to make a video today about forgiveness. Forgiveness is your path to ascension. I was listening to a Chandler the other day, and they're talking about how before we are truly allowed to cross over the threshold, we will be faced with those that have done us the most harm, our greatest enemies. And our challenge will be to truly forgive them. Now, if you don't really want to deal with that all at once, regardless of whether it may be true or not, you can start by forgiving them right now. And you can go at your own pace, really. So you can do it gradually, or you can really focus in the moment and let it all just go. Because forgiveness comes in the understanding that the other person, or whatever situation may have been or happened, is in essence a part of God. They are you. They may have even been here with you to teach you a lesson and to fulfill a contract that you two may have made outside of this reality, in the astral realms in heaven. But they are essentially you in a different body from a different perspective. And their role was to help you learn how to forgive, mainly, right? So we go through these catalysts of suffering, through pain, to help us remember who we truly are, to take back our power. And in forgiving them, we learn unconditional love. We learn that although that suffering felt really real, that it may have been apparent to us currently, and we felt it deeply, it's really just an illusion. And that's what makes this the earth and this reality so desirable, because there are so many lessons and experiences that you may not necessarily be able to have on the higher plane. And in order to go back to that higher plane, you have to let go of that lesson of pain that you may be hanging on to, because you haven't truly learned from it. You haven't transcended it. And besides, hanging on to pain doesn't really do anything to the other person. It just harms yourself, right? So you're hurting yourself by grieving, or by seeking revenge, or anything of that matter. But forgiveness is really understanding that the person was not aware of what they were doing. When you consider the person rather as insane, or devoid of love, or unaware of what they were doing, rather than inherently bad and you are inherently good, or something like that, because that just perpetuates the game of good and bad, the game of duality, the game that you're trying to leave behind and transcend out of, and ascend out of. Instead of regarding them as bad, you regard them as someone that was in need of love. And when you wish them well, when you forgive them, when you send them your blessings, you are essentially giving them that love. You are helping them as much as you are helping yourself. Because if someone in your family, let's say, was quote unquote bad towards you, caused you pain, you wouldn't necessarily just kick them out on the street. Well, it depends where you are consciously, or the conscious level of consciousness. But you would more than likely try to help them, right? If they were mentally insane, you would try to help them. You would try to find a proper counselor. You would try to give them proper counseling. You would, in some way, would try to help them. You wouldn't just go out and, chastise them, or hate them for being insane. But that's what we do with people that that do bad things towards us, that cause us pain. We hate them. We consider them evil and wrong, when really they're the ones seeking the greatest help. They're the ones that need love the most, because their inner child is screaming to you, I'm hurt, and I'm projecting this hurt onto you. And for a while you resonate with that because you're also hurt. But to heal out of it is to transcend that pain and to realize that they are hurt and they're projecting that onto you. Now, no one's saying that you have to stay in that sort of relationship with that person. No one's saying that you have to continue undergoing the suffering that they may cause you, especially if it's some kind of physical abuse or verbal, any sort of abuse, really. But you can forgive them, forgive yourself for being with them for that long, that it may have taken you to learn that lesson, whatever lesson was in that, and you can let it all go and give it to God and wish them well without necessarily being with them. You don't necessarily have to be, in my example, in the family, specifically if it's a family member. You don't necessarily have to be always in communication with them, even if it's family. Just because they are family doesn't give them the right to be toxic towards you. Because now you understand certain things and you can see their level of pain. And you may try to help them, but not everyone is ready to hear your words. Not everyone is ready to receive the help, because not everyone wants to be helped. They are accustomed to a certain pattern, certain style of thinking, and to leave that would be dangerous to them, would be considered dangerous. So they are in fear of truly facing themselves because they're scared of what they might possibly find. So once you realize that projected hurt has been thrown on you, you start taking your power back. And that is first recognizing that, and then taking action to separate yourself from that scenario. But you do all this with good intent, with a loving manner. So just because someone hurt you and you don't want to be in that relationship anymore doesn't mean you go and shoot them. You take loving steps to get yourself out of that situation, because you now are learning to love yourself, right? So I've given this example before in other videos, but if you're in a narcissistic relationship and you were the quote-unquote victim, there are no victims, because your soul and the other soul chose each other for that experience to learn the lessons. The narcissist will learn empathy, hopefully, if they raise their level of consciousness, and the victim will learn to take their power back by learning to self-love and not accepting the conditional love that the narcissist will give them. So when you learn those lessons, that means you are finally at the point where you can make the conscious choice to leave that sort of scenario. Because up until then, you were unconsciously in that relationship thinking it was normal and this is how it was supposed to be. But now you understand that there's more. And you ultimately forgive the narcissist, but not only forgive, you appreciate them for teaching you those lessons, because now you understand something that you didn't before. That it was actually a catalyst for you to wake up to that understanding, or to that remembrance, really, of your true power. Okay. So forgiveness and love and appreciation come easily, really, when you get those lessons. And I know that may sound crazy considering how much pain you or others may have encountered from those specific scenarios, but I can truly tell you from my own experience even that forgiveness and love are the only way to release whatever pain you may still have inside you, and to find your peace again. And they will lead you to the best possible outcomes in transcending that situation, in resolving that situation. Okay, so in regards to the spiritual ascension, you cannot possibly access that level of consciousness, that level of non-duality consciousness, that one with God, that path back to God, without regarding every single human being, especially the ones that hurt you, as God source, as a part of yourself. Because to love someone or something is to treat it as a part of yourself, to extend that sense of self and to encompass that being. That is true unconditional love for that being, because you would not hurt yourself to love that being, but you would also not hurt that being, because that would be not loving yourself, if that makes sense. So once this encompasses this, right, this is now whole, and it's not encompassing it from a parasitic perspective. It's not taking energy, it is giving and treating it as one. So this would not hurt itself because it would also hurt this, but this would not hurt this because it would also hurt itself. And that is true and unconditional love, from my perspective at least. Okay, so you will not be able to access those realms, or rather you will only be able to access those realms of higher enlightenment and ascension levels of reality until you can truly love thy neighbor. You can't love all of humanity like some people may claim to, when you don't even love your own family member. You can't even forgive your own family member, or you can't treat your neighbor right. Right? You can't treat your neighbor with authentic kindness, not the kind that's people-pleasing, that we do for attention or for respect or for any kind of gain. It's an authentic kindness that you do unconditionally. You do just for the sake of being kind, because you choose to help that person. And as Teal Swan describes it very truly, it actually is a little bit selfish, because that kindness makes you feel better. Now, you can do it with the intent of making you also feel better, because that makes both parties feel better. But there's no really such thing as an unselfish act once you expand your sense of self. Everything is the self. Everything is God. Okay? So I don't want to make this video too long, but I hope you got some insights out of this. Forgiveness is a major part of your spiritual journey, because it deals with your shadow self, and it deals with other shadow self, and your unison with others, and eventually God. Well, we're always united with God, but many people forget. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck on your path to forgiveness.